What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, people? What's up? Try to make this kind of quick today because I asked, oh, and got a notification, so I don't know what's going on. I hope you got it. Notifications are on. Let me make sure I can hit it. When you come in, hit that like button. Okay, yeah, let's go get that up out of there. As you come in, hit that like button. Almost completely set up. Almost completely set up. What you talking about? All right. Well, today, that's it. Boy, look kind of good right there. We good. Tiger, woo. Okay. Well, welcome to everybody that came in or is coming in. And as you come in, hit that like button. And for those that didn't get an opportunity to listen to the podcast, what's up, Jingy? Didn't get an opportunity to listen to the podcast the other day because it was breaking up and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to kind of hit you with a refresher. But today, the conversation is going to be about something that I saw last night. And later on, a couple of you probably going to say something about it because it was from Tommy Sotomayor. And not that it was a video he did, but it was a video he commented on or did a show on. And I actually thought it was rather interesting. And tomorrow, before I do the question and answer session, I'm going to go over the conversation that Michael Bloomberg had with the stop and frisk. Give you my opinion on it. I'm also going to give you the law on it, and I'm also giving you the stance that New York actually has on it right now. So be on the lookout for that. Later on this evening, probably right after this podcast goes up, after this goes up, the podcast will be up Monday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time. So be ready for that. It probably won't be posted to YouTube until later in the afternoon. For whatever reason, it does not go up right away, but it will be available on all your podcasting platforms. You can also support the podcast with 99 cents a month, $4.99 per month, or $9.99 per month. Michael Globe has been the first one to do that. Patreon. Part 1 and Part 2 of your initial start to any criminal case or any civil case is on Patreon. It is only for those that are Patreons, and that's starting out at 20. You can go higher. I'm going to do a tier thing to kind of get that set up. So those are up. You're going to see actually the kind of ad that I actually did for that one. Again, that will be put up after this video. I actually wanted to do one thing real quick because I got to give a shout out to my people. Because like I said, I appreciate you guys that do show their appreciation by sending a donation. And yes, the links are working. PayPal's working. The Supreme Decisions. Cash App is back working. Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, and what else am I looking at? Zelle. So all of those are working. You're gonna see them posted in the comment section in just a few seconds. Why is all this shit coming through? All right, hold on. I'm trying to get right. Trying to get right, people. But if not, it is what it is. So, okay. Well, it's not letting me do what I need to do right there. So let me see if I can do it right here. Nope, that. Okay. I know what I was trying to do. Okay, something just came through from Dex. Appreciate you, Dexter. Dexter just put 5 on it. And 5 from ACT1 ATM LLC. Put 5 on it. Appreciate you guys. And lastly, but not least, before I get started, I want to make sure we have a full understanding about when you're calling me and asking me for help, you send me the emails rather. So when we do the emails, I'm going to say this, probably have to say it another 100 times. I get it. I don't do anything outside of this, YouTube. I don't do anything other than that for free. So if you're looking for me to do something and then like hopefully might, coulda, woulda, I'm not doing that. So yeah, you can go ahead and cancel all that. I don't work on contingency because like I've constantly said, and I actually have to rephrase, only one person has ever shown me any type of love from winning a settlement. And yeah, of course, I'm going to the I'm offenders. I've never seen any of them. So it is what it is. I have plenty of people contact me. Oh, well, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Yeah, until you do it, I really don't believe you. Don't care. But I'm waiting for the action on it. So if you're looking for something for free, that's guys, not me. So it is what it is. And hit that like as you come in. Share this. And if you're not getting a notification, hit that bell button. Anyway, hit it again. Hit it 30 times. Because I actually just got a notification on my phone, which was amazing to me. So, the other day I did the video, and it was about the extending of a traffic stop. Well, today I'm going to review that. It's just going to be reviewed. I'm going to kind of run through that. But then I'm going to go into, hopefully I can find my notes from last night. And I just found my notes from last night, where I talk about, constantly you hear me saying that once there's a conviction, once you confess, once you are convicted, that the state cannot apologize. And I'm gonna touch on that, but I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. And in those examples, I'm going to give you a little context, which actually opens us up for the opening for tomorrow for the question and answer session, which will be at 3 unless it is pouring down rain down here. But what I'm going to give you right now is, where am I at? That's not it. Alright. So the extension is, it actually came from a question that was asked. If a police dog is called to the scene, can that extend a traffic stop? Now, I gave you the context of the stop, which was Wren v. US. The stop is legal for the traffic infraction. Now, you also have the context of knowing that because of US v. Sharp 470 US 675 1985, that 20 minutes is the maximum allowed time because it's only allotted the time to give a warning citation. And in the context of that, one of the things that also has to do, because they have to satisfy reasonable suspicion, because you'll hear that dumb shit all the time. Because until that point, you're still involved in Florida v. Royer. You do not have to participate in a police investigation because you have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to ignore them because they have, because of U.S. Terry v. Ohio, they must articulate a crime. And if there is reasonable suspicion of a crime, the first thing they must do is do tasks to confirm or dispel their suspicion. And generally it will be something that derives from a description. Why? Because there's actually a complaining witness. There's actually damage to personal property. Those are things that will actually be there. Or they will have your consent. If they don't have your consent, there must be some probable cause available, because then they can actually go into the context of getting a judge's consent to pretty much violate your privacy, which then kind of overrides you if there is probable cause, which only comes from a crime. Now, I gave you the context of US v. Sharp, because in US v. Sharp, the judge assumed the police had articulated and they had a reasonable suspicion that a crime had been committed. Why? Because it was not challenged at any point. And glad I said that, because I'm going to get back to that. Because one of the things I constantly say, if you are scared, if you are going to go through something and you know it is going to be scary, don't call me. If you're not going to listen to the things I ask you to do when you do call, don't call me, because it becomes a waste of time. It becomes a waste of energy, because if I'm giving you instructions to win, it doesn't have to make sense to you, because if it made sense to you, you wouldn't have called me. You wouldn't have sent me the email. You wouldn't have done all this thing. I'm giving you instructions on the way to win. I'm going to walk with you through the door, but I can't fight for you. I can only fight with you, but I'm not going to get into a fight with you to do the right thing to win. So if you have an instance where you're getting nervous, where you're getting scared, and you start the other extra stuff, I'm done, because I don't deal in fear. I've watched what fear does to people. I don't participate in that. So it's easy to keep that to yourself. And because what I do, I take every case apart from the beginning. I challenge every aspect of the case. These are things that most people don't do or don't know how to do. I do things that are not normal because that's not what you're taught. So things will look kind of misconstrued or kind of re-screwed some kind of way. But that brings us back to this, because the reason why the judge thought it was okay that it was there, not that it was in any of the evidence, that none of that evidence was challenged. So at that point, it's why I say challenge every aspect, including the stop, because only the stop itself is lawful. Anything beyond that, there has to be a crime. It must be articulated. And then part two of what a cop has to do is the court evaluates the circumstances from what is inception, which means it's the totality of circumstances. But when you're talking about totality of circumstances, when it deals with the court, we are talking about in the aspects of things that were challenged. Did you challenge the stop? Did you challenge the search? Did you challenge any aspect of it? Because that's only what the court is going to deal with. Evidence that is presented before it. Now, I also spoke about the only person that needs, or the only party that needs to present proof of anything is the accuser. The defense does not have to do anything. The defense needs to learn how to have self-control and be quiet. Make them do their job. This is also the thing that I talk about with police. And a lot of people look at me crazy because I'm asking a police officer to do what a police officer said that they would do. And yeah, if you don't like that, yeah, I'm the problem. Because yeah, why would I want somebody to do what they say they're going to do, you know? And even in that aspect, I'm going to come back, because again, it keeps, as I'm speaking, I'm remembering some shit that went on. If I give you instructions to do something, you choose not to do it the way I tell you to, and then you have these people that you know lie to you, you know not being honest with you, you know they're trying to get money from you, you know they're trying to intimidate, you know they're going to do all these things, they're corrupt and all this other stuff, but then you start believing them. I'm going to throw deuces to you. Because, again, I've watched that happen before. And if you going to believe it, just like I gave you the story of the snake. Snake is frozen. Man brings the snake into the house, warms the snake up, nourishes the snake. The snake bites him. Then they're all saying, oh, why'd you bite me? You knew it was a snake. Why would you listen to somebody you know that's going to lie to you? Why would you listen to somebody you know that's trying to take something from you? So, yeah, you jump off my team, stay off. I don't. Once you get on waivers, I'm done with you. So it is what it is. Now, understanding the aspects of every street encounter begins with Terry v. Ohio. And the police must articulate a crime. The police cannot guess or use a hunch. Everything they do must be particular and specific. Those are things where they can't say, oh, I have reasonable suspicion of a crime. Those are things that are often left off because that's not reasonable. Because your reasonable suspicion is of what? I had a puppy once. What difference does it make that you have a reasonable suspicion? It has to be particular and specific. Just like whenever they go get a warrant, they have to look for something particular in a particular place, and they have to be looking for something specific that deals with that crime. Just like if they're doing a pat down. Terry v. Ohio, they can't perform a pat down unless you give them consent, or they can point to the dangerous place and then search there. Now, officer safety is not an issue because it has nothing to do with law. And just like I was just saying, police need your consent to search your person or to search your property, whether it comes from you or it comes from a judge. And if it comes from a judge, they have to ask permission with a warrant application, and that warrant application must be supported by probable cause, which then must have already been articulated because there was already a victim that can be confronted. Okay. And we also spoke about you don't have to turn over your ID and all that good stuff because of Hybel v. Nevada. And even in the context of this, police often use, I smell marijuana. And I gave the example of the young man that was asked 10 times about smoking weed. And he's like, dude, I don't smoke. But again, they're using that as a pretext to do a search to gain your consent. Just like in Darren Ross. Darren Ross gave consent. But he was like, oh, well, I don't have to do that. Yeah, you do. You still need that. Because even there are only two ways to extend the stop itself. And beyond the 19-minute short requirement. And that's you asking for a supervisor or you saying it's okay to bring the dog. Those are the only things that can extend the stop beyond 19 minutes. And that was determined in Rodriguez v. U.S. 575 U.S. 2015. So absent your consent or the consent of a judge, police may not extend the length of a traffic stop to conduct a dog sniffing test. So just keep that in mind. Rodriguez v. U.S. 575 U.S. 2015. Now, well, you know what, Jingy the only one that's saying something. Jingy, y'all hurt my feelings. It's okay though. It's okay. I don't need y'all to talk to me. Just hurt my feelings. But don't forget, go to Patreon. Patreon and Cash App is in the comment section. I'm gonna put it in the, what in the hell? But after the show, I'm actually going to put the full list in the comment area. But one of the things that I actually, like I said, was actually watching Tommy Sotomayor last night, and most of you guys that don't know him, don't know of him, Tommy is one of those guys. He's kind of a tough pill to swallow. But he does pick up on things, and he talks about things that are happening. And one of the things that he spoke about last night was a topic that I thought was actually interesting because of the context. And contextually, looking at this, it was interesting because it involved a presidential candidate that was a former prosecutor. And that's, I'm probably going to butcher her name, it's Amy Klobuchar. Yeah, yeah. I'm probably butchering it. But Amy was a prosecutor, and the context of what happened was she convicted a man with no gun, no DNA, no fingerprint, and no witnesses. This man is 16 years old at the time. They actually convicted him by pretty much lying to him to confess. By telling him, yeah, we're going to bring you a train, a little truck. You can go home with your mama. Now, the reason why this was interesting, because it's one of those where this man has been in prison for 18 years. And understanding that whenever the state has to apologize, they go through the context of now they have an enormous payout. They have to pay you for the time they had you in there. Why? Because they're responsible for your livelihood. And in the context of this, the question was asked by Tommy was, why won't Amy, because she's a senator, do something? The greatest part about that was the fact that he understood that she can't do anything. And I'm going to give you why. You hear me talk often about harmless error. That is their protection, the protection of the prosecutor. Harmless error, meaning they can do something and get it wrong. Well, you also heard me talk about the prosecutors cherry-picking cases. Well, the cherry-picking of this aspect was this 16-year-old boy who was not guilty of a drive-by shooting was convicted with pretty much no evidence and was just forced through the system. And his name was Myron, or his name is Myron Burrell. Myron Burrell, again, was 16. He was convicted at 16. He's been in prison since then for 18 years. And I'm going to get into the details of the story, but the one thing I want to talk about is the fact that I'm not sure if you guys listened to my podcast maybe 3 weeks ago, where I spoke about the innocent people that have been executed because the state refused to apologize. I think I gave you a list of maybe 13. I also talked about over 2/3 of the people that are on death row are generally released because they're innocent. 2 out of every 3 people that are on death row that are released are absolutely innocent because of they could not have possibly committed the crime. Now, when you look at the age that this young man was, it brings up Muhammad in Chicago. And the reason I bring him up because Muhammad was Eddie T. Johnson actually kind of covered up for him. Muhammad, early one morning, this mentally ill young man who was also 16, Muhammad calls him over. This young man is literally skipping down the street. Muhammad unloads on him. He did not kill him. Muhammad lied about the aspects of that stop or that encounter. The truth was somebody had a Ring doorbell. The Ring doorbell with the video, excellent audio, excellent video. And they needed this young man to be a villain because they kept using the word man. No, he's mentally ill and he's 16. But they kept referring to him as a man, because I constantly say this. Words have power. When they referred to Myron Burrell, they referred to him as a man. Amy Klobuchar actually used this case during her political campaign multiple times. She talked about how she was the one that did this. But what she did not talk about was how she allowed police cover-ups, how she allowed police corruption, how she allowed a lot of things to go on under her watch. And what got me, again, the reason why this caught my attention last night was because it brought up the 14-year-old from South Carolina, George Stinney. Many of you may or may not know George Stinney. But those that don't know him, George Stinney was a 14-year-old that was executed in South Carolina for a murder he did not commit. And he's also the youngest person to ever be executed. South Carolina, that's what they're known for. Executing someone that's innocent. And thank you, Ola. And then we go back to something that I've talked about maybe more often than I should, and it's the Central Park 5. Because again, you're talking about a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old. People were calling for their death. There was a man that was locked up with them. They spent years in prison. They were innocent. There was a man that was in prison with them that had confessed. His DNA matched. People were still asking for these children to be executed for a crime they didn't commit. I'm gonna say that one more time. They were asking for children to be executed for a crime they did not commit. Here's the reason why I'm bringing up these cases. I can't remember. I actually cannot remember the case right offhand, but it's a Tennessee case, and it spoke about the length of time you can interrogate someone. Myron Burrell's mother was not allowed in the interrogation room. Myron Burrell's mother was killed in a car accident the day before Myron was indicted. She died in a car crash, and I'm not sure if you guys know, but I know people that have been incarcerated that has not been convicted yet, and a couple people that have been convicted that were allowed to go to the funeral of a close family member, and your mother has got to be an immediate family member. Well, Amy Clover, what Amy, call her Amy, did not allow for Myron to go to his mother's funeral. So again, his mother's been deceased almost 18 years. He has not seen her, has not been able to visit the gravesite. He's not been able to say his goodbyes to his mom because Amy's okay with that part. And remember, Myron had no gun. Myron had no DNA, no fingerprints, no witnesses. Now here's the similarities to the Central Park 5, other than the fact that 14, 15, 16, the South Carolina 14-year-old, it was the fact that this child was interrogated without the use of a representative, not allowed to be with his mother, was lied to about what could happen, and it was done beyond 16 hours. I'll say that one more time. He was done beyond 16 hours. Take a stop right there real quick. What if I told you that a young police officer in Dallas went into someone's home, shot and killed this person in their home, used the context of, yeah, I'd been up 14 hours and I was disoriented. But you expect a 15 or 16-year-old child to be subjugated to more than 14 hours of interrogation, when an interrogation is designed to coerce, when an interrogation is designed to intimidate, when it's designed to solicit something that's not true. It's designed that way. We expect a child to have the mental capacity to deal with that. When we have an adult that can't go home and do that. We have an adult that killed somebody in Tennessee and is acquitted. We have these adults that can't do it, but we hold the children to a higher standard. But then I'm asked why you won't comply. And my question that cannot be answered by anybody is, why can't we ask the police to do the job they signed up to fucking do? But when we have instances like this, they can't apologize. They can't say, my bad. But here's the greater part about that. 18 years in prison, he's innocent. I have faith to even say that. He refused to plead guilty to a lesser charge because he maintained his innocence from day one. Now, remember I told you, if they confess or if they say, you know what, I did something wrong. Amy can't say, yeah, we were wrong. We messed up. Why? Because then Amy becomes liable for sending this man to prison for 18 plus years. This man's entire childhood gone. This man's teen years gone. College years, wife and family time. You know, he's on the back end of his life even if he gets out. And here's the thing that caught my attention. Remember we talked about the Central Park 5? Amy actually admitted on The View. This is what caught my attention. Amy admitted on The View. The person who's the actual shooter confessed. Myron had nothing to do with this. The shooter, the person that's responsible for the young lady's death, because she was actually a child too. I'm not going to mention her name because it was actually a young lady that was killed that Myron is in prison for. But the people that were involved said, yeah, Myron wasn't there. He wasn't in there. He ain't have nothing to do. We don't know a dude like that. Yet, Amy still won't apologize. Amy still wants him to take a deal so she can save face. And she's still okay with that innocent man sitting in prison for life. They gave a 16-year-old life with no gun, no DNA, no fingerprints, no witnesses, and a confession from the person that actually did it. Didn't that sound like the Central Park 5? And House of Lost Tribe, that is actually what they're doing in Minnesota. They're pushing for her to be disqualified from the presidency. You know what the problem is? Being a poor candidate doesn't disqualify you. I'm going to say that one more time. Being a poor candidate does not disqualify you from being president. And the thing that I can't remember the young lady's name from The View, but she spoke about, she's like, I have a teenage son. A case like this terrifies her. And she said, basically the only solace that this woman has is the fact that she has assets and connections to not only law, but she has a little bit of money. Because I say it over and over and over and over and over and over again, that the system is not for law, it's for revenue. It's designed to generate revenue. It is a for-profit business. Now, when I say the war is on the poor, the rules are different when you have money. The beast feeds on the weak. Those are your fears. As a man thinketh, so shall he be. And the greatest part about that is, I tell everybody, one of my favorite quotes is, the thing that I have feared the most has come upon me. Why? Because even in the Bible, and my Bible people, tell me if I am wrong, even in the Bible, it speaks about placing your mind on something higher. It speaks about you thinking about being better, doing better, and having better. And the thing that you fear has come upon you. Now, most people take that quote and leave it there. Because what you're thinking about, you're going to manifest. If you're scared that, oh man, I might go to jail, guess what's going to happen? You're going to jail. It's not what happens when you go to jail. It is not what happens when the thing you feared the most comes upon you. It's what you do after it. Because now you know it's coming. Why? Because you're manifesting it through your thoughts. Because it's going to move your actions through that, in that direction. These are the things that's going to engulf you. And that's what the beast strives on. It thrives on your fear. It thrives on your inconvenience. It celebrates your not wanting to fight. These are the things that I talk about constantly, because the nature of the beast doesn't change. You may not like the tactics I give you. You may not like the tactics you have to go through. You may not even like the fact that you got to go through them. But the thing is, you have to go through them. Because as long as you're not fighting, you're condoning their actions. As long as you're not fighting, you're telling them it's okay. And guess what? When you're giving up one, they're coming for more. These are the things that I'm constantly teaching. And this is not something that I'm just spitting out my mouth, because I'm teaching you tactics. I'm explaining to you the verbiage they use. I'm helping you understand their tone of conversation. They talk to you with a certain authority. Why? Because they want you to be, they actually want to reinforce what they're trying to program into you. They're building on those blocks. They want you to think that I have authority. No, you don't. You're a servant until. If there is not an until, what we talking about? Because at some point, you know what? Because you're either gonna fight for something, you're gonna stand for something, you're gonna fall for anything. And sometimes these corny ass lines actually mean something. What are you gonna stand up for? If you're not gonna stand up for you, how can I do it? If you're not gonna fight for you, how can I fight for you? I can fight with you. I can stand with you. I can't do anything without you. You have to be ready to go through it. You have to be willing to go through it. And those are the things that I try to give you. This is why I fight back. This is why I'm hoping that you're watching my channel, so you can fight back, so you can get more, so you can be prepared. And that way, if I'm missing something, show it to me. Because it's not just for me, it's all of us. Because as long as we're standing, we're able to move forward, we're able to do these things, we should do these things. And this is why I was having a conversation with a young man. He was like, well, you know, I was going to concede that. And when I broke it down, you can't concede anything. You can't concede anything other than the traffic infraction, the initial stop. Everything beyond that, you have to challenge. The articulation, the actual crime, the involvement, if they're writing the citation. All right, I'm going to shoot my email to you. And I don't know what the hell's going on. What's going on in California? Everybody getting in trouble out there? My goodness. Okay. Anyway, but this is why I talk about you have to challenge every aspect of the police encounter. Whether you like it or you don't like it. Sit down and look at it, because but that's what you need to do. You have to get into the position of challenging every aspect of the stop, whether you want to or not, because guess what they're going to do if you don't? Keep doing it, and they're going to enforce it on you because you're not challenging it. The judge is going to assume it's okay. Why? Because you didn't challenge it. And that's also where I'm going to get into later. It'll probably be a Patreon thing where I speak about revoking all presumptions. Because again, it was something I did with every case that I started out with. But then I stopped because I was challenging it anyway. It didn't matter about the presumptions because I took them away. These are the things that I do. You got to close the doors behind you. That's something that your parents taught you when you were a little kid. Close that door. Keep that door closed. What you got the door all open for? Let my old AC out. Well, that ain't how my mama talk, but you know, it is what it is. You don't talk about my mama. But this is why you should question everything. Why can police not perform their duties they volunteer to do and are being paid for? I can't hold somebody at McDonald's at a higher standard than I hold a police officer. So, that's what I want to have a conversation about today. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to, again, speak about Michael Bloomberg and New York on tomorrow and his comments. And we're going to have our question and answer session. It's going to be 3 p.m. Mountain Time. That's blah, blah, blah. So roughly 5 Eastern, 4 Central, and 2 Pacific. No, Pacific. So it is what it is. And my money's on Deontay tonight. Knockout, 8th round, buyout. Now, and what I'm getting ready to do. God dang, okay. I wasn't even paying attention to half this stuff over here. All right, my email is in the chat. So that's where we're at for right now. If you need the email, it's greatestnow@yahoo.com. Greatestnow@yahoo.com. So I actually don't even see the comment. Absolutely, you know, share everything that you can. And I just dropped the email again. Shoot me a quick email. And, yeah, share it. Put in your little Facebook groups and whatever groups you're in, Yahoo. Let's get it out there. Let's get it going. Let's get it growing. And like I said, when the show's over with, I'm going to drop it in the comment section. The donation links. I appreciate you guys. Dexter, thank you. ACT, appreciate you as well. So, see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be uploading, I think, 1 or 2 videos. Well, 1 video about the Patreon, so you can actually scoot over to that. 18. Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. Cause I actually have that one written down. So yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. So see you guys.